Well, the time is just gone 12 minutes past 8 as we kick off this morning, taking a look at the President Cyril Ramaphosa, and he has met with the South African Jewish Board of Deputies. And just looking at some of the reports that have come out from this meeting, where the president met with Jewish community leaders. And this comes at a time when the UN General Assembly made its strongest call for an end to the war against the people of Palestine. And Jewish community leaders have made a number of demands to the president of the country regarding South Africa and its position. And someone who has actually preempted, even after the vote that has taken place, has been Mametlwe Sebei, and he's written so much about it, he said so much about it, and yes, a fair amount has actually proven to be true. And we're going across now to be joined by the president of GIWUSA, Mametlwe Sebei. Mametlwe, good morning to you, sir, and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the show.
Thank you to Dr. and thank you to the viewers of Salam Media.
Yes, wonderful that you are able to join us now. Obviously this comes against the meeting that the president has had with the South African Jewish Board of Deputies. And I know you said a lot, you wrote a lot with regard to this vote that has taken place. And the one comment that you had made, barking with the hounds and running with the hares. And this obviously has proven to be very, very true.
Yes, the reality is that South African regime has been trying to balance the irreconcilable positions in respect of Israel and Palestine. The reality is, because it is, and I think I've said this before, the commitment of the ANC to capitalism ties it to global capitalism, to imperialism, in which Western imperialism and Zionism are a dominant faction in the world in this at this point in time. And as a consequence of that, to expect that they will consistently stand with Palestine, with people of Gaza in this hour of need is not really it's not realistic. The only way that we have managed even to push them to a point where they are at least making formal denouncements and all of that, and they've heightened their rhetoric, is because of the unprecedented level of mass mobilization from every corner of the country in the past few weeks in particular. But other than that, they continue to be committed to the ties with apartheid Israel. And this, we must say, is unacceptable, it is scandalous, and quite frankly, criminal and treasonous in a country which owes its very state, a democratic state, to a struggle against apartheid, to a national liberation movement that was supported by international working class solidarity. People who said we would not stand aside as people are being massacred in this country. Let's remember, Doctor, this country, under apartheid, it was boycotted by the wide sections of the world population just for a massacre of 69 people in Sharpeville. Now, I just want to take a second and reflect on that. 69 people were massacred in this country, and the world was outraged. Today, approximately 20,000 people have died in Gaza. A government that came out of the struggle where people were outraged by the massacre of 69 people does not find it justifiable to cut a diplomatic ties with the apartheid regime, with a government that is carrying out genocide. And I say that is a treason to all the people who fought for liberation in this country, to all the people who stood with us at the hour of need. And we have said Sharpeville and other massacres of apartheid were crimes against humanity. They are acceptable. They are not going to be allowed to happen in our age. And I think they've taken a correct step, and we can't even cut ties with Israel in the face of genocide.
Yes, and I think this begs a question in terms of how principled is the stance of the ANC government in its support for Palestine. During the week, I read an opinion piece where someone had actually questioned whether the president of the country should even be wearing the kofia and are holding the Palestinian flag, considering that we see the outcome of the meeting that had taken place yesterday. And we know, you've said it before as well, South Africa being one of the biggest trade partners of an illegitimate state. And that, I'm sure, is the overriding factor. And as much as we come from this ugly history of apartheid, all along, Palestinians have looked upon one country, specifically one country, and that is South Africa, because we identify with the cause. And clearly, this is a disappointment.
Absolutely. Betrayal, treachery, treason, those are the words that I would use in this case. I mean, for a country where when the people of Palestine are fighting, when the people of Palestine are defying all the fearful odds and are facing death, one country, one struggle that is a point of reference that continue to be inspirations and a light of hope in the darkness in which they are today, is a country that cannot unequivocally say that Israel is an apartheid state, says that Israel is carrying a genocide, and they are saying that in words. But every of their actions says otherwise. It is not what people say. That is very cheap. Everyone can say anything. What the position that South African government has taken, I mean, we must be very clear about it. I mean, I've seen their statement, very strong in words, but little to no action, right? It is no different to the statement that have been made by the Western imperialist countries under a pressure of their own population in the past few days in particular. Many of them have even suicide. They voted now to call for ceasefire in the light of a continuing escalation in the number of civilian deaths, mainly children and women and other vulnerable population, section of the population, especially the elderly and so forth. Right? Now, because of that, everybody is forced to say certain things that are right. And when you look at a statement from the South African government, it's rhetoric, nothing. And that's why I'm saying that it is treasonous, particularly for a country like ours, when the people of Palestine are dying, are dying. And as they face that death, one thing that keeps their spirit alive is that in South Africa, the black working class and the black majority in this country made it in a struggle against a regime, not fundamentally or rather qualitatively different as they see it. Of course, there are very qualitative differences, and I have pointed out and I have argued that the state we face in Israel, to say actually it's an apartheid state, is an understatement. What we have faced there is a settler colonialism built on the logic of ethnic cleansing, and it's dangerous to make a very crude comparison between that and apartheid regime, because at no point was the ethnic cleansing and the genocide against black majority in this country ever posed. They, insisted all sorts of discriminatory policies, racialized, oppression and all of that. But every single one of those measures were always meant to enslave black majority on which rested the accumulation of capitalism in this country. That's not the situation in Palestine. That's not the situation in Israel. It's a vicious, brutal, and genocidal settler colonialism that if we don't stand up, if we don't take a decisive action as an international working class, of course, what we are faced with is a complete cleansing of the people of Palestine. But this, I need to say this.
Yes,
you see,
Mametlwe, if you could just hold that thought, please. I need to go for a quick air break, and we will obviously continue. And we also want to interrogate the outcome of this meeting between Cyril Ramaphosa and the South African Jewish Board of Deputies when we come back after this air break.
Thank you.
Day by day, this is Salam Media.
Conveniently located along the banks of the Crocodile River bordering the Kruger National Park, as a guest at Buckler's Africa Lodge, one can enjoy an amazing sunrise or sunset on our spacious deck area while you catch a glimpse of some wildlife sightings along the Crocodile River. The sounds of the African savannah will greet you whilst you enjoy your morning coffee. Buckler's Africa Lodge, by Tingana Collection. Buckler's Africa Lodge is ideally situated only 6 kilometers from the Crocodile Bridge Gate in the Kruger National Park. Catering for all travelers with variety, we have 4 types of the finest rooms: superior rooms, deluxe suites, and 2-bedroomed family units. Each room is equipped with the finest amenities to make your stay unforgettable. Guests can choose between the self-catering option or book their accommodation with breakfast and dinner included. Buckler's Africa Lodge is your ideal location for the ultimate Kruger getaway experience. We specialize in exhilarating and educational game drives in Kruger, tailor-made to suit your family. Inquire about our various accommodation offerings and other activities. Visit www.tingana.co.za for more information. Buckler's Africa Lodge by Tingana Collection. Experience the pulse of Africa with us.
There's no smell that takes me back to the comfort of my childhood than the smell of black seed oil being applied by my nanny. Now I'm using Tib black seed in my own home to soothe sniffles and coughs, to help with digestion and immunity, and of course, as part of my beauty routine. After all these years, I've come to appreciate the wisdom in finding comfort and shifa in trusted treatments like Tib black seed. You can find Tib black seed at all leading pharmacies or find out more at blackseed.co.za.
Sponsor an orphan and you'll help support a vulnerable child to have the education they've always dreamed of, so they can build a brighter future. You'll be feeding a hungry stomach and a hungry mind with knowledge that will last them a lifetime. That's the power of an education. Sponsor an orphan now with Islamic Relief.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
Ah, the kitchen, the heart of the home, where memories are made and celebrated. Our go-to place for those freshly stacked pancakes early in the morning or for the late-night snack munchies. We are in there together, cooking, eating and celebrating life together. Let's keep the kitchen a place that is shared by everyone, where we build stronger bonds and grow together. Sunfoil, Now We Cooking. Visit nowwecooking.co.za for recipes that everyone can help make.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
Well, we continue with the discussion right here on Salam Media this morning, and we are discussing the meeting that our President Cyril Ramaphosa has had with Jewish community leaders, the South African Jewish Board of Deputies in particular, and the outcome is Jewish community leaders have actually said that President Cyril Ramaphosa has reassured them that Pretoria does not intend severing diplomatic ties with Israel. And to unpack all of this, we continue our discussion with Mametlwe Sebei, who is the president of GIWUSA. Mametlwe, just to continue with the discussion. Now, as we unpack this and we know on the political landscape, we know the position of the various political parties. We know parties like the DA, Action SA, parties like the ACDP, the Freedom Front Plus. All of these parties have actually come under fire in terms of their open support for this illegitimate state of Israel. Now, in comparison in the political landscape, these actions of the ANC, just in your analysis, how would that compare?
They're not fundamentally different. You see, the only difference is this. Obviously, the ANC rests on the support of the black working class majority, whose sentiment against apartheid here and abroad are very clear. because of their own experience of repression, of racism, they are able to recognize in Israel the same traits that they resented, that they resisted, and that, of course, opposed unequivocally. And for that reason, the ANC is paying lip service to the cause of Palestine the same way that they are doing to the interest of the black working class majority in this country. Just at the same time as they are not willing to touch, the white monopoly over wealth, over, vast resources in this country because of the capitalist system that continues 29 years into their rule. And I think that's the context. Whilst, of course, the parties like the DA and others that rest on a very racist, reactionary, white minority base, can speak much more unequivocally. As for parties like Patriotic Alliance, those are the paid agents of Zionism, because we know that the Zionist interest in this country have been using money to bribe and, of course, to cajole into a support of genocide and, of course, settler colonialism in Israel is concerned. So we shouldn't be surprised, but I'm just saying that the essence between the ANC position and that of these parties is fundamentally the same. The difference is a rhetoric, and that is because they are appealing to different sections of society, but for the same purpose, garnering votes and nothing else. But insofar as a commitment to Israel, it is basically on the basis that Israel, as a Zionist state, represents a vital section of world imperialist interest, and I think it is those interests that tie them to Israel at this point in time. But I have to say this: I don't think we have to be very careful in terms of calling, South African Jewish deputies, leadership of the Jewish community. We do have, leaders of Jewish community. Many Jewish people in this country rejected apartheid. Their heroic figures, sons and daughters, were on the side of the struggle against apartheid. They were denounced and renounced by these very, racist Zionists, because we need to call these people what they are. They are Zionists, who even elected them in the position that they hold in any event. So we've got to be very careful in conflating their views with the views of many Jewish people in this country who, because and precisely because of the history of the Jewish people, the suffering that they've been subjected to in Holocaust and other pogroms, in mainly Christian Europe in particular, they are rejecting the genocide against the people of Palestine. We have them organized in, a Jewish voice or, South African Jewish for Palestine, right? And I think it's not unique to South African situation. Many Jewish people have taken to the streets and have said, not in our name. So I think we've got to be calling them what they are. But I think I want to also bring other point here. Look, it is dark, before dawn. And I think, as the dying beast is kicking most violently, it may appear that we are far from our goals. We are not. The very fact that the ANC has to make this verbal concession, the very fact that 153, states have to vote for the resolution for the ceasefire, it means we are on the winning side. And we can say this to the people of Palestine with an absolute confidence. Their freedom is going to be achievable within our lifetime. And that is because we have a force far more potent, far more powerful than all their nuclear arsenal and powerful armies. And that is an international working class that will not stand idly in the face of genocide, in the face of continued occupation. We have never had a situation as we have before, where the Israeli settler colonialism has been exposed for a brutal colonial project that it is, and people across the world are demanding for free and independent Palestine. And that goal is within reach, and it has never been as close as it is today.
Well, those 153 countries represent 90% of the world's population, 7.3 billion people right across the entire world, and that alone speaks volumes. But just coming back to one or two issues that were raised in this meeting between Cyril Ramaphosa and the South African Jewish Board of Deputies, he denounced what he termed what the Jewish Board of Deputies termed anti-Semitic behavior. Now, if we can say anti-Semitic behavior is about people who stand up to oppression, people who speak truth to power, people who stand up for the atrocities and the genocide that is committed, and all of that, being now denounced as anti-Semitic behavior. But for the president to actually make this denouncement, really, Mametlwe, he should know better. He should know better that this is about human rights. This is about a genocide, and accompanied by, in the most brutal form, accompanied by savagery, to the point where 2 days ago, people were executed in the school. I'm talking of babies, children, where these attack forces just walked in and they executed. Everything was done execution style. Now, how can one actually call that anti-Semitic behavior when we see this type of brutality unfold?
It is, let's call it what it is. It is a criminal slander and defamation of our movement. We are standing on a proud tradition of anti-Semitism. I can assure you, Doctor, the people who today are on the streets are the same people who, if you were to, roll back the hand of history, we would have been on the streets protesting against Holocaust. Not the people that are on the side of Israel, right? Anti-Semitism in this country was sponsored by the very parties that today are in support of Israel. Let's be clear about it, right? It is Israel that deals with apartheid, one of whose prime minister, I think is Foster, was arrested for anti-Semitism, for supporting Nazism. And these are the people that Israeli regime deals with. These are the people that were embraced by the Jewish Board of Deputies, whatever that they call themselves, right? At the same time as they were celebrating and, of course, honoring people who persecuted the national liberation struggle figures in this country, including the man who persecuted Nelson Mandela, was awarded and honored by this Board of Deputies. So I'm not even going to respond to that. We stand on a proud tradition of anti-Semitism. We have absolutely nothing to explain in this case. Let's be clear about it. Many anti-Semitic movements, one of the issues that they always used was the fact that the Jewish people contributed more than any other, right, to the most progressive anti-imperialist and a socialist thought of humanity. We stand on that tradition. We are the people of Karl Marx. We're the people of a great, Leo Trotsky, and all the luminaries of the Jewish workers' movement. And as I've said, we have absolutely nothing to explain to this racist, to this imperialist, and for even the ANC to make this concession is a criminal slander and defamation against our movement that doesn't warrant and respond, but nothing, but an absolute contempt that it deserves.
Yes, Mametlwe, just finally, I just need your comment on the whole issue surrounding the vote that had taken place in Parliament. And again, what came out of this meeting is the president reiterated Durko's public position that there was no intention to sever diplomatic ties with Israel, and also saying that, this resolution was purely advisory and was not obliged to implement it, and clearly there is a huge contradiction here.
It is, a denouncement and an insult to a democratically elected legislative body representing the vast majority of the people in this country who have come out in a position that actually represents and is in tune with the view of the overwhelming and the crushing majority of South African people who are saying, coming out of apartheid, we have got to be clear than any other people. I mean, will any of these people, right? Would any of these people have accepted excuses that we are hearing from the ANC, if any, have made those excuses after the Sharpeville massacre? And I want to keep coming on this. And I want to challenge you, Doctor, to say, reflect for a second. This country under apartheid was boycotted for the massacre of 69 people. How is it that it is difficult for us to take a clear, unequivocal position that they cannot be any diplomatic style relations with a government carrying a genocide. And even if you're to minus, right, what is happening now? Israel has committed countless massacres than anything that we've seen in this country, even before the 7th of October. So all of this says ANC is a treacherous organization that it has always been, and we've seen the past 29 years. And I want to use this opportunity to challenge the comrades within the Palestinian Solidarity Movement. These are not people with us. And every time we allow them to come to our gatherings and to make all of these speeches, we are actually giving them the credibility that they do not deserve. We are contributing to them deceiving the working class people in this country and throwing the dust in the eyes of the working class that want an unequivocal stand and denouncement, as well as cut off diplomatic ties with the state of Israel, as well as all, of course, the boycott, divestment, and sanctions that are deserved on the state and all the cooperations that are collaborating and complicit in the settler colonialism and its crimes against the people of Palestine.
Well, Mametlwe, we're going to have to leave it at that. I know you and I can engage a lot more, but for now, time has run out. But we thank you. We do appreciate you taking time out on this public holiday and being with us right here on Salam Media. And as always, we value your input and your analysis and your unpacking of events. So for now, please take care and all the best to you.
Thank you. And I promise you that we're going to see free Palestine in our lifetime. That I'm confident of.
Well, inshallah, and Amin to that as well. Mametlwe Sebei with us this morning, right here on Salam Media. Next up, we'll be joined by Haji Imran Subrati.